I know it's been a minute. It's been 2 years actually, but hey, I'm back. I'm still alive. I'm still here, and this time I'm not gonna do any of the weird stuff. The black and bright outlines and stuff like that. So that's a little bit out of the mark. My door's acting like a ghost. I don't know why, but that's a little bit out of the mark. Out of the envisionary for now, and in with the cybersecurity. It's time for me to group up and do some cybersecurity stuff, and I am slowly building up my LinkedIn profile. I'm slowly building up my GitHub, my Cybernaps, and it is going all to fruition. I swear to gosh, this fucking door has become very diligent of me to do a cybersecurity project and learn ins and outs of cybersecurity. And today we will do a implementation of Honeynet, and I think, what is it called? Honeynet, and hold on, let me look it up. I think it was SOC in Honeynet in Azure. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do, and I'll see you on the way there.
First off, I just want to say thank you, Philip and Josh McAdor, for giving me and many other passionate cybersecurity learners a fully guided research on how to do this project. I mainly followed Philip's video, but I used Josh's video for a reference. This won't be a fully guided video, it will just be a summarized video of what I did. I'll put a link in the description below if you want the full guide. So I was able to finish the project, and for the most part, it was a success. The first thing I did was create an account, and once you create an account, you automatically get $200 in credit, which is free to use, but you only have 30 days to use it. After 30 days, the $200 is gone. You would either have to make a new account or pay for deployments. So after signing up, there was a tutorial video on Azure. I would normally skip, but I recommend not skipping too much because it's good to know the gist of how Azure works and knowing what to do if you made an error in the intention of whatever project you are doing. The next thing I did was create 3 virtual machines, one for Windows, one for Linux, and one for Windows Attacker. I created both the username and password login for each one. You don't have to make every password different. You can keep them all the same as long as it's a password you remember by heart or have saved in Notepad. They all came with network security groups, or NSGs for short, so you can add inbound security rules to them and an IP address assigned to each one to log in with. I set the region for both Windows and Linux to North Central US, while I set the attacker VM to East US. I logged in to the Windows VM and disabled the firewalls to allow incoming traffic to the VM. I downloaded the SQL server and Management Studio. After downloading the studio, I used it to generate failed login attempts to the Windows machine, in which I was able to pull up using Event Viewer. For the Linux server, I pulled up the command prompt and pinged the IP address of the machine to make sure that it works properly. I then used the SSH code, followed by the @ sign, followed by the IP address again for login, and retrieved all the users by typing ID in the box. I then used the attacker VM to install the same studio used for Windows. The attacker VM was too slow and laggy, so I had to recreate the VM. I also used PowerShell as well to generate more login attempts. Once I made enough login attempts, I then pulled up the event viewer on my Windows VM and noticed that there was a crap ton of failed login attempts even outside of the attacker VM. And they would start generating several failed login attempts on my SQL server or SQL server every single second. Now, I am not sure if that was supposed to be intended for the project, but I just went with it just so I can get a snip of the failed login attempt from the attacker VM I made. It was very hard to find due to the vast amount, so I used the clock on the attacker VM to capture the exact hour, minute, and second I made the attempt, to have an easier time finding it. The same thing happened with Linux when I researched the auth file full of login attempts. but it was much smoother than I expected. After all that, I created a log analytics workspace and was basically researching the queries and gathering network data. It took a while for me to pull them up, but it was eventually able to come up. I was setting up a bunch of stuff on there, such as the defender plans, data correction rules, and editing the diagnostic settings. After that, I would run some codes I imported from the diagnostic setting for the log analytics workspace, and then I created a workbook for all the failed login attempts and the generation implementation I did from Linux. For some reason, I could not do the same from PowerShell due to lagging issues, but you can see that I am getting a bunch of attacks from plenty of regions like Australia, Europe, and US, as well as some allowed-in attempts for all those regions.
So there you go, guys. That was basically the end of the project. It took a lot of research and a lot of digging around just to get to this point, but it was a very fun project and I enjoyed it. I know there's a lot of cybersecurity people like that have been wanting to do this project. It isn't like a must-do project for you. You can do other cybersecurity projects, but I just recommend doing the Honeynet and SOC implementation lab in Azure. It's really helpful and it really does allow you to learn a lot of stuff as far as login attempts, a lot of virtual machine setups. It's really good to get down to the nitty-gritty of Azure and being able to experience like failed login attempts, generate logs from failed login attempts. It was very good. I enjoyed it a lot. It was a great experience. Once again, thank you, Phil. Thank you, Josh. And I am definitely recommending you guys this particular project. And with that being said, thank you for watching and listening, and I'll see you in the next video.